All right, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Corwin Heller.
We got my friend Dan here, who is not a sports fan.
I will be speaking from the perspective of the common man.
Yeah, he joined us for our Super Bowl viewing, or at least mine. Corwin's still at Penn State. It just ended. It's 10:30 Sunday night, and this game sucked. This game was awful.
It was the worst Super Bowl I've seen in
Ever.
quite a while.
This is the lowest scoring Super Bowl of all time.
That's kind of surprising, but if you think about it, not very.
Like, even from the perspective of someone that doesn't
2 years.
normally watch sports, I could just tell from the get-go that this game wasn't going well. Like, no one looked happy to be there. No one looked like they were enjoying themselves.
Dude, by the end of the game, the Rams' entire team looked so disheveled, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Like I was telling everyone during the game, like, no matter who wins this, no one deserves.
Up right there. I think it was in like the middle of the third quarter. You could just tell, like, all right, this game is mentally over. Like, there's not much left for these guys.
I'm sitting here and I'm trying to even think of like a good takeaway to bring away from it. Like, I know, like, now the Pats are tied with the Steelers for having the most wins in Super Bowl history. I mean, Brady already broke the record of most wins by a single quarterback last time they won it, so it's not like there's a big milestone for him as an individual, I guess. I mean, is there anything to say in terms of the Pats' overarching dynasty that this really alters?
I mean, it just kind of, I don't think it alters anything. I think it just kind of proves that this isn't something we've ever seen before, and this is, dynasty and longevity-wise for a team, the best we've ever seen. And there's really no other team or streak that could even come close. I mean, the big thing was the Steelers winning 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, or the Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls, which is still wild, but nothing comes close to what the Patriots have been able to do since Tom Brady was drafted.
Do either of you guys have a play that sticks out the most in your mind from this fucking 4-hour suck fest?
Man, that's kind of hard. The Gronk catch that set them up on the 1-yard line was the best throw Brady's had in several weeks. And it's going to be one that people remember from this game and take away as like, man, Brady still has it. But outside of that, he did not look good. Same thing with the 2 throws directly predecessing Jared Goff's interception in the 4th. They were 2 beautiful throws that I think he kind of just got lucky with, and it kind of covers up the fact that he was god-awful this entire game.
Dan, is there anything that stuck out to you, really, as a guy that doesn't really watch football?
In terms of plays, no. But I know that this will be all over the internet tomorrow and for the rest of the night. A lot of people were disappointed that they didn't do the SpongeBob song for the halftime show.
That was going to be my next question.
See,
fuck that.
Like, I know, they don't have to honor the petition or whatever the hell these guys were doing. But don't, tease them with that nothing 5-second clip.
Oh, that shit was so disappointing, man.
Just to show Travis Scott show up with CGI fire around him.
I know, it was so lame.
Like, I would have rather had nothing at all than to have what they gave us.
I'm with you, too. Like, I would rather have just not seen anything and just had the NFL or Pepsi just be like, nah, like, we're just not going to do that. Like, it's too late. And
like, who would legitimately feel satisfied with that?
Yeah, right. Like, it's like they wanted to do like a fan service thing, but then everyone who was a fan of the show just felt gypped. Like, what was the point? Like, you clearly acknowledged that the fans wanted something, and then just didn't give them what they wanted. Every SpongeBob fan there blue-balled as hell over that.
Like, in general, from the non-sport aspect of this whole like event. Like, none of the entertainment was really that good. Like, the live show wasn't that great. The commercials were boring. Like Super Bowl's hailed for like their really famous commercials that people sink millions of dollars into, but none of the commercials really stood out to me besides like the Avengers teaser. But everyone already saw a trailer.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I mean, like, Corwin, we could sit here and talk about like the defensive aspects of the game and like why Brady and Goff looked really off, like, the little minutia what happened. But the Super Bowl is supposed to be the event that the NFL carries every season. That's supposed to, be the casual viewers' time. It's supposed to be a really obviously big point of entertainment that anyone can kind of sit down and enjoy. And I don't think a casual fan, I mean, like, we're serious fans and I didn't like it, but I don't think a casual fan watched this game and was like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah, no one like.
Yeah, I mean, this just kind of I'm trying to think of the right word, but like it disappointed on all fronts. Like what Dan said, the halftime show was really nothing special. Adam Levine was clearly sick. His voice wasn't right. The commercials outside of the NFL 100 commercial with all the former stars, that was great.
You
but
mean
outside of that,
125 seconds of the NFL jerking itself off?
Yeah. Oh,
Look how great we are.
I mean, it was good.
Love it.
Oof.
One thing that I really had a problem
around.
with, one of the hugest things I have a problem with, and this is just in general, but I'm so tired of car commercials where they spend like a minute and a half talking about like, all these philosophical questions is like, what does it mean to be human and something like that, and then it just shows a car driving on a highway that probably like no one drives around.
But do you remember that what was it? That Kia commercial where the guy commits suicide at the end? Just drives into like a fucking river, like just in such an end-it-all fashion, and they're like, go achieve a dream, like go explore the wilderness or some shit like that. But it's like, no, this guy died. Like this is a tragic story.
Like, sell me the car, not like, a feeling, because I don't give a shit about like whatever feeling I'm gonna have while driving the car. I just want a car. Like, show me the features that the car has. Like, come on.
I think all car commercials need to be at most 10 seconds long. Give me like average resale value, average miles per gallon, and like your coolest features, and that's all I care about.
Like, if you want to make it artsy,
I'm with you on that.
If you want to make it artsy, like you can still do like that pinball commercial with the
the Toyota Supra. Yeah,
like that was a good commercial because it just showed the car driving. Like it was a fun commercial. Like it doesn't have to be up its own ass. You can still have a high production value with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Corwin always agrees. That's his thing. He always agrees. Corwin always goes, "Yeah, I'm with you on that."
Yeah, that's when I like zone out halfway through and kind of don't have the full story and just have to come up with something.
Yeah, All right, so let me ask you this, Corwin, and Dan, if you have any thoughts on it,
I asked a question, but no big deal.
What was your question?
No biggie. I asked what your favorite commercial was.
Oh, man, I feel like I'm very in one ear, out the other when it comes to the commercials. I liked the the Washington Post one. I thought was at least interesting. I thought that they at least
I did like that one.
I thought they at least had some intention with it.
Yeah, the Washington Post one was good.
But I don't think there was one that really stuck out as like a gut buster. I thought some of the T-Mobile ones were pretty shitty.
I mean, overall, this T-Mobile one was okay. Like, it got my attention, but, it's T-Mobile. I already have T-Mobile, so that didn't really matter to me.
They have my business. What about you, Corwin?
Like I said, I like the NFL one with all the current and past stars. I like seeing that one. It actually was well done and had a lot of cool throwbacks that I liked.
Yeah, no, there was chock full of it was a very Easter egg and reference full little advertisement that they did, which I thought was cool, even if it was just 2.5 minutes of the NFL jerking it. But all right, so let me just to talk some actual football, since this was kind of the day for it, I guess. Would you classify this as a defensive game or poor offense?
I was definitely favored in the way of defensive scheming, not necessarily like shutdown performances by either defense, but it was definitely heavily just offensive failures to like the Pats receivers couldn't get open outside of Edelman to save their life. Jared Goff is just played the ugliest I've ever seen him play since his rookie year. Um, Todd Gurley was still hurt and just was not effective outside of his two early runs. Like nothing really went right for either offense outside of one or two big plays.
Dan, as someone who does not watch football, you're already laughing. Did this seem like a game where like you saw people do things right, or where everyone was just sucking it up?
Well, I kind of based my perception of the game based on how everyone else around me was reacting.
We reacted very poorly.
So yeah, I would say that everyone did poorly because everyone around me was saying that they were doing poorly. But I guess the biggest takeaway I had from that game, as someone that doesn't normally watch football, is that it was boring. Like, I don't know, the way I perceived football before like I watched this game was that it's an exciting, like there's constant like there's not constant movement, but it's like there's clashes and conflicts, and they're actively trying. But this one they just kind of like struggled and limped their way to the finish line. It didn't really seem like an active game to me.
Yeah, I think the way that it could like a good like a fun defensive slugfest would have included more sacks, and I know there were a couple interceptions, but they seemed to be more poorly thrown. Like there was the one really underthrown Goff interception. There was the like really lucky tip up on the Brady interception. Like it wasn't like really spectacular defensive plays. It was just like other people fucking up. Goff got hit a few times, but I mean, it like Dan said, it seemed like it was a lot more like third down stops than it was crazy turnovers or something like cool happening on defense, as it was just a war of attrition.
Like the general air about the entire, like not even just the players, but like the commercials, the people, like everyone, even the people watching, everyone involved, it just seemed like a very sterile air of just like, I don't really care about this. Like no one seemed interested in what they were doing.
What do you think, Corwin?
I don't know. Who knows?
No one does, man.
Sorry, I completely missed it. Brooke's yelling at me.
Why is Brooke? I don't know. We're gonna move on because I'm trying not to edit this.
All right.
All right. Let me ask you this because I also was thinking about this during the game. If this was a regular season game, would you have watched the whole thing?
No, I would have turned it off very quickly to watch anything else.
I mean, yeah,
like from the start, it was an ugly game.
And that's the thing. I'm like we're not even 15 minutes into recording. I don't have anything to say about this. Like I mean, we could sit there and talk about like bad third down conversions. It didn't seem like either team like really adjusted at a halftime. Great special teams play on both ends, but like outside of the minutia of the minutia of shit to talk about, I mean, there's really not much to say here, like at all.
No.
I really like. I mean, Corwin, is there anything that you watched in this game that you thought was especially, or that you were waiting to bring up in this conversation?
I mean, if the Rams had won this game, Johnny Hekker should have been unanimously voted the MVP.
Instead, it went to
he was far and away the
Julian Edelman. Just want to throw that out there. Julian Edelman won MVP.
Right, but if the Rams won, Johnny Hekker should have been voted unanimously the MVP.
Yeah, sorry, I confused you. What I was trying to say there is
all good.
Neither team really, neither team's quarterback really played well enough that either of them were going to get it. Like Brady didn't deserve it, and which is why he didn't. No. And if the Rams pulled a win out of their ass, they wouldn't have deserved it either. Actually, let me ask you this: do you think this throws any fuel on the fire that the Saints should have made it in over the Rams? With all that controversy last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. I mean, we could have said that this. Well, people have been saying that the Saints should have been the team that got in from the start, and I mean they outplayed the Rams. in the NFC Championship game. I think they had a more complete team compared to the Rams. They're a healthier team right now than the Rams. I think they would have put up a much bigger fight against the Patriots. I think they were built to beat the Patriots better than the Rams were. And I think this would have been a little bit of a more competitive game through and through.
Were you surprised that there wasn't Aaron Donald generated noise because he's a noisy dude, but I was actually surprised by just how quiet he was kept. I was kind of expecting to see his name brought up a lot more than it was. Did that surprise you at all?
Well, I mean, the Pats had honestly the best offensive line in football this year, especially the past couple weeks of the season. They shut everybody down, and they have a very good interior line. They doubled Aaron Donald the entire game. I mean, outside of him having a few plays and Dante Fowler getting a couple big plays off the edge very early in the game, they completely shut down the Rams' defensive line.
What did you think about the Rams' offensive line? They looked fucking pathetic in my eyes, but I don't know it as well as you do.
I mean, I'll say it again. I am not good when it comes to evaluating offensive lines, but they were Swiss cheese out there. I mean, Goff was holding onto the ball.
I was going to say the same thing, yeah.
A little bit longer than he probably should have, but he had no time back there to operate. And part of that is his receivers weren't doing him a lot of favors. Brandon Cooks played horribly. Robert Woods showed some good plays, but wasn't consistent throughout the game. It's just one of the cogs that broke for the Rams, and it felt like almost every one of them did at some point on offense.
Yeah, man, that shit was just... I feel like I only have negative things to really bring up. Julian Edelman and Johnny Hekker really felt like the only two people that did a damn thing in this game. Like, I really am hard-pressed. Like, Todd Gurley didn't really do anything. C.J. Anderson didn't really do anything. Sony Michel had an okay game. I don't think anything great.
He definitely had big plays.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the Patriots' backfield. I feel like everyone's a role filler back there. But, I mean, no one really... The Pats' offensive line as a unit played well, but like no one really stood out so much. Like I don't think there's a lot of highlights or positives to highlight. Instead, I feel like it's just nothing but lowlights. I mean, this kind of just sucked. I don't think it was a memorable halftime show. I don't think there was memorable commercials. It wasn't a memorable game. There was no like. Even the lone touchdown was boring as fuck. It was just a punch in at the goal line. It was so fucking lame. Like nothing. The field goals that got made weren't even that interesting. Like nothing about this game was very interesting.
I feel like if this wasn't the game where the Pats won a 6th Super Bowl, this would be a very much forgotten Super Bowl game. I think this will be forgotten.
I really think it will
one
be.
of those games where people just don't give a shit.
I think this is going to be the least memorable of all the Pats Super Bowl wins. I think people are going to go, they won 6, like they beat the Rams, and they beat the Eagles, and they beat the Falcons, and they beat the Seahawks, and then they didn't play the Rams twice, did they? No, they couldn't have, right? Oh, and then you Google it and you go, oh, no, they did. Like, that's going to be this game. That's going to be this game.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Like, we're going to be looking back on this in like 15 years and being like, who the fuck did the Patriots even beat in 2019? That's what's going to be today.
Such a bad match.
Dan, what'd you think of the uniforms?
I mean, I don't know. Blue and yellow, like those shades were just not... Shouldn't have happened.
When you think Rams, what colors stick out in your mind?
Not blue and yellow. Like, maybe... I don't know. I can't even... like, I know, like, I'm trying to picture, like, the actual animal, like a ram in my head, but I can't think of what their colors would be.
I guess just white. There's brown rams, aren't there?
Like, white fur? Wool?
No
What
idea.
would you think if the Rams jerseys had like a Sherpa lining on the outside?
Honestly, like that would make things like a decent amount more interesting to me. I think it would be white and gray.
Maybe they would reduce concussions since it would absorb some impact.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the life they chose, so they'll have to cry about it with their millions and millions of dollars.
What would you name the Rams mascot if you got to name that guy?
Ram.
Ram the Ram?
No, it's just Ram.
It's
Like
fucking weak, Dan.
we brought in the Ram.
That's just no. You're better than this.
Richard the
I was
Ram.
gonna say I was going to say like Randolph or some shit or Ramdolph, something.
Okay, Ramdolph is pretty good. Ramdy, like Randy.
Okay. Or what about Ramdi, like Gandhi?
That's like more of a deviation than mine. Like I don't think you're trying.
Corwin, do you have any opinions on this matter?
I have no idea what the fuck I'm listening to right now.
I mean, there's no football to fucking talk about. I mean, honestly, I don't want to drag this out forever just because, like, I mean, I know we usually do an hour here, Dan. Since you're a
An
guest.
hour.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I don't want to stretch this out just to meet time because I just don't think there's really anything left to say at this point. I mean, do you have anything to say, Dan?
No.
Thanks, Dan. So
I
no
mean-
Corwin's opinion, Dan.
I mean, this is just from a personal thing. I don't know if anyone out there can relate, but getting Domino's is always such a huge mistake. Like every time I get it,
Yeah,
like
yeah, it is.
I'm filled with just this vague pain in my body.
Yeah, I'm filled with dough, cheese, and rage.
Like it's coming from everywhere, but I feel it like deep inside, like as if it was in my soul.
It's instead it's what we call your colon.
Yeah, that's pretty deep in there.
Yeah, it's way down there. So Corwin said he didn't have any closing remarks. I really don't either. I mean, it's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, I'm not watching the Super Bowl next year. I want to watch Super Bowl every year. I mean, Dan's going to watch Super Bowl next year because it's an event to get friends together for. We're all going to watch Super Bowl next year. This one just sucked. That's all there is. You got anything else, Corwin?
Oh, please, just let this be the last one. The Pats win. I can't take this shit anymore.
I'm such a salty ass Jets fan, but like this one barely feels like it even counts. So that's why I don't even care that they won it because it really doesn't feel like they deserved it, and I can take some kind of solace in that. Like I know it's going to go up on the a banner all the same, but it really doesn't feel like they earned this one. So I mean, congrats you won, you bunch of fuck faces. But every one of your fans, every one of your teammates, everyone knows. You didn't win this game. The Rams just lost it. Like, y'all
Yeah, this
sucked
will be
at-
the biggest asterisks on any one of their Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, you think Barry Bonds has an asterisk next to his records? This is going next to yours. Yeah, they won
Yeah,
Super Bowl
bitches.
53, but they fucking sucked when they won it. That's it. I'm just going to do all the social stuff. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm all
Fuck
good.
you, Dan. You don't have opinions.
Oh, okay.
All
Hey,
right.
Dan, nice talking to you for the first time in so long for a good 15 minutes, you know?
Hey,
I know, this
hey,
was-
we got like 20. Shut up. All right, I'm all right. Let me do a thing. You can send us emails about our nonsense fucking conversation today.
Where?
Juicingthenumbers@gmail.com, Dan. That's juicingthenumbers@gmail.com.
Can you spell it?
I know it's spelled how it sounds. You can find our website at juicingthenumbers.wixsite.com/website.
Can you spell that?
Yes, it's juicingthenumbers.wixsite.com/website. You can find us on Twitter at juicingpod.
What if I don't have a Twitter?
Well, that's okay, because you can look up at juicingpod and find our Twitter anywhere on the internet. And that's the show,
Jesus
folks.
Christ.
Thanks. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good morning or night, whatever.
You know, enjoy your day, guys. I really hope.